Now, from the studios of Into Tomorrow in Miami, this is ITTV.
Our next guest company manufactures wastewater treatment products, and they're on a mission to help us get back to what they're calling real water. The CEO of Wexco Environmental is Brian Koski. Brian, thanks for coming on. Welcome Into Tomorrow.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. I got to admit, the first time that one of my producers told me about you and your company, I thought, oh, okay, another water filter company. No. It's not for, before we drink or shower or whatever. It's for afterwards. Mm-hmm. Did I get that right? And it's like, okay, why are we treating the water that we've used? And that's why we wanted to have you on. Why do we need to treat the water that we've used, whether it's from our sink or shower or I'm assuming our toilets or otherwise? Tell me about Wexco Environmental, and then let's get into specifically what you guys do.
Sure. So Wexco, we're a small manufacturer of wastewater treatment products. Specifically, we kind of focus on the on-site septic market. Or rural homes, treatment systems for not only complete wastewater treatment at your home, but also one of our other products that we focus heavily on right now is called the Filtrol, which is an inline washing machine filter that helps remove lint and microfibers from your effluent from the washing machine.
Okay, so let me get that so I understand that correctly. And again, it's not a filter to wash your clothes before that happens. It's a filter once you wash your clothes so that, again, that wastewater doesn't have what were you calling microfibers? Is that what it was?
Correct. So about 10 years ago or so, there was a study that was done that found microscopic plastic pollution in waterways, specifically on a beach and an ocean. And from that, the academic community started to really realize, hey, this is a big problem. We've kind of known that plastic pollution has been an issue for quite some time. However, they were specifically focusing on the microscopic pieces that you don't necessarily see with the naked eye. And so from that first study that really kicked off hundreds and now thousands of studies after that really started to quantify and identify the sources of these microscopic pieces of plastic and pollutants that are found basically everywhere on Earth, from Antarctica all the way to your, a lake, a stream, a river. It doesn't matter where you live, they've found them everywhere. And what we're focused on is, so microplastic pollution is a pretty broad category. It could be anything from if anybody's heard of or is aware of, in 2015, the Obama administration signed a bill that eliminated the ability of face wash to have these little microscopic plastic beads in them because they go through wastewater plants. They don't necessarily all get filtered out, and then it just goes directly into our waterways. So that's a form of microplastic pollution. Microfibers from our clothing is the one that we're focused on removing. So if you think about the clothing that you wear every day, a lot of it's synthetic. You look at the tag, it's not, cotton obviously is a lot of clothing is made of cotton yet. However, polyester is by far the most prevalent, and that's basically plastic. And so the fibers that shed from your clothing in the wash and just from wearing, that ultimately is discharged from your washing machine. It goes into your wastewater conveyance system, whether you live on a city and it goes to a city wastewater plant or an on-site septic system. It all leaves your house, and then it needs to be treated and removed. And it's very difficult because they're very tiny. Many of them are about the size of a human hair or smaller. And obviously, everybody's probably seen lint before. When it's all combined up together, you can see it much better. But when it's individual pieces, it's very, very hard to see.
And now this is all something, Brian, that is definitely in any way not naturally occurring at any point, or it's all just man-made stuff that becomes a problem and pollutants, basically. I appreciate your example of the lint screen. Yeah, you better be sure and clean your lint screen periodically after drying clothes every so often at least, because it clumps up. So basically what you're saying is it's like that only before it gets to a clumped up stage, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. So all those, basically, if you clean your dryer screen, that's millions of microfibers or tiny pieces of your clothing that have come off in the drying phase. There's actually about twice as much of fibers that come off from your washing machine. So if you think about that, next time you clean your dryer screen, about double that has come out of your washing machine. You don't even really notice it because it just goes right down the drain in the water.
Wow.
And what these studies have found is that, again, I'll point to like municipal wastewater. So a city wastewater system, all that water from your washer gets to the plant eventually. And some more modern treatment plants can remove like 90%. Some are as low as 40 or 50%. And so pretty much every municipal system discharges into a river or some sort of body of water. The cleaned water gets discharged. And so as the example I said, let's say they remove 50%. Well, that means 50% of the fibers are just going right out into a river. And ultimately what that means is, polyester fibers at that quantity getting released into the environment, it does not break down very quickly. Could take 100 years, it could take 50, but it would be in the water, out into the environment for a very long time. And the biggest thing that's been found right now is that small, let's say the base of the food chain, your invertebrates, your little bugs basically can confuse those fibers for food because they can see them and they might think it's food, they eat it, and then ultimately it kind of works its way up the food chain through fish and through other animals that are eating those little critters. So along, eventually it could make it all the way to us and to our bodies. And that's, I guess, ultimately the biggest concern is, not only environmental, but what does it mean for, our health as well, since we're ultimately directly or indirectly consuming microplastics and also fibers.
So you're saying also, of course, then these municipal treatment plants that are telling us they're then putting out clean water because they've treated it is not necessarily so clean, and it gets into the system and into the waterways, no doubt. When I looked on your website and I saw one of the things you're concentrating on is protection for septic systems, and it's like, again, why do you want to protect your septic system? But now I'm getting it, because of course your septic system then seeps into your groundwater ultimately after it hopefully does what it's supposed to do if you're on a septic tank, for example, rather than a municipal sewer system. So then this is, I'm guessing, where Filtrol comes in. Tell us about your filter. And as you mentioned, this is meant for consumers then, not for municipal treatment plants.
Correct. So ultimately, the Filtrol is an inline filtration system that can be installed in the household to remove the majority of the fibers at the source. And so that's kind of the key point, is you're removing them at the source before they leave your house, because once they leave your house, they become far more difficult to remove. And it's much easier for them to migrate into the environment.
So if these are microfibers or microscopic fibers, as you say in many cases, is it then similar to a lint screen, but it's for everything leaving your house in terms of wastewater? And if so, then you need to clean that periodically as well?
Yeah, I'll actually pull the current model that we have.
Please,
yeah. So this is the Filtrol 160. And
let me just remind our audience listening on the radio, come visit us and see the video of the interview with Brian from Wexco. And he's holding up some of the product. And of course, we also have some additional video during this interview so we can show you how it works. But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt, but wanted to remind folks, don't worry, don't look at your radio if you're driving. Come to intotomorrow.com and look at the actual video. Go for it.
Sure. So on the inside of the canister, which mounts in your wall, your washing machine hose comes in the top, and then this is the actual filter. It's a very simple product. It's a bag filter that filters down to 100 microns, which is many times smaller than your dryer filter, for example.
And it sort of looks like maybe a pool filter in that sense, but it's a net, right? It's a long net. Again, for those not yet seeing it on the video, that at this point you're talking about your washer wastewater from your clothes washer. Is that really the only place it would go, or would you also install one under your sink, or that sort of thing, or is it really mostly the concern at this point is for washing clothes?
Correct. So this is specific to washing clothes or your clothes washer, and ultimately what happens is the fibers get caught up in here, and then eventually you empty it out into a trash receptacle, and then reinstall the filter. So it's a reusable filter that can be usually used for a couple of years before you need a replacement filter. So it lasts a very long time. And
unfortunately now you're dumping it in your trash, which is probably going to go into a garbage mountain somewhere and back into the ground. So I mean, it sounds like you're doing a good thing at your end as a consumer, but it sounds also like we need to take it a few steps further. Is that something to be concerned about? Or because we're trapping these microfibers, what happens to them then?
Yeah, so exactly. So right now, one of the challenges is, to your point exactly, the best way to dispose of it right now is landfill or trash.
Yeah.
Most landfills are overall pretty highly regulated and do have liners and do have mechanisms in place where the things that get put in the landfill don't leave the landfill. Now everybody's probably driven by a landfill and seen a plastic bag hanging up on the fence, and it's pretty obvious that some of that stuff does migrate. However, right now that's the best solution for disposing of it. We're also working with some recycling companies to try to incorporate or reuse that material into a beneficial product. It'd be like recycling paper, essentially, or cardboard that'd be turned into something else.
Gotcha. Well, being a good guest, you're almost answering a question before I ask it, which is terrific, because that was then the concern. Could this be recycled? And if so, turned into what? I mean, because it's microfibers of plastic and that sort of thing, could they then do it like anything else, any other plastic item, and turn it back into more plastics?
Yeah, so it's very challenging because you just think about your individual laundry use at your home. You have mixed types of fabric, mixed clothing. So as you know, like recycling, you typically separate your recycling. You put your different types of plastics maybe have to be separated based on the number. So it's not as easy as just saying, hey, we'll just recycle this. The actual waste end product is pretty complicated because it could have cotton, polyester, nylon, spandex. It could have hair, dirt, organic and inorganic materials within it.
Wow.
The recycler that seems to show the most promise at this point was looking to add that material into other recycled material and actually making larger recycled products such as park benches or I'm not sure the exact name, but the little curb pieces that you like bumpers for your car when you pull up and your tires hit them. You're at the
like parking stops, that sort of thing in a parking lot. Sure. Gotcha.
Yeah. And so they already manufacture those, and what they were looking at is adding this material in small quantities into those so that they more or less get trapped or contained inside of these larger recycled products they're making.
Well, now next question, I think fairly obvious to those of us curious and our listeners and viewers here of the video. Is this something available now? Is it something that you're working on? If it's available now, how much does it cost, and how involved is an install of this sort of thing?
Yep. So the Filtrol on 60 is available right now. It's been on the market actually for over 15 years.
Oh.
So we're actually in the process of developing 2 new products that are like the next version of the Filtrol that's been around, the tried and true. Installation is pretty easy. There's the canister mounts on the wall near your washing machine, and you can see there's 2 holes on the bracket that gets mounted onto the wall, and then you run your washing machine hose in the top. And then there's a drain pipe that goes out the bottom, and that's pretty much it. If you are, have basic tools around the house, a screwdriver, and a few other things, you can probably install it in about a half an hour.
Okay.
So
And you don't have to be a major DIYer, I guess, in order to do it. It's not something that is going to take a weekend to install.
Nope. Like I said, a couple of screws mounted on the wall, and not every situation's it's a little different depending on the wall. If you got sheetrock or concrete wall or whatever, but overall it's a very, very simple and quick install. Okay.
And cost?
So right now the unit retails for $139.99.
Okay.
The Filtral 160.
$140, basically under $140 to help save the planet is what it sounds like, at least from your wastewater from your washing machines. And when you talk about new products, additional updates and so forth, what will they do differently, or will they work in other areas of the house?
Yeah, so they're still going to be focused on washing machine filtration or your laundry. We have this version here. This is a prototype. We're calling it Filtral 2.0. So this will take the place of the one I just showed you. Mm-hmm. And this one will end up filtering. The goal is to make it more efficient, which we are, easier to maintain. And so one of the things that we came up with is this spinning mechanism inside that spins with the force of the washing machine pump, and it cleans the inside of the filter.
Oh, good.
And then the material it catches falls through into this secondary filter or a catch filter. So basically this is like, think of it like the trash receptacle for what it catches. And then you can just simply dump that out into your garbage bin. And so that's the version that'll take place of the current one we have. And then the other one that we're working on is going to be more specific to people that have like a laundry tub, for example, that your washing machine pumps into, which not everybody has. But this one is a simple device that will mount on the side of your sink, and then there's a filter on the bottom here that catches the material. When it's full and gets plugged, this will just pop off, which will tell you that, hey, it's time to change the filter. And you just simply put a new one on, and away you go. This one is gonna retail for around $30 to $40, so much lower price point. And the Filtral 2.0, the other one I showed you, this one will be, our goal is to get it around $99 or $100 price point.
Oh, very good. So making them much more affordable, so folks not only don't have to worry about buyer's remorse, but they can say they're doing something to help the environment and it's not so costly. So that's important. How soon will those other two be available, real quick?
Yeah, we're hoping by mid-year 2022.
Okay.
So another 6 to 9 months roughly.
Terrific. We invite our audience, of course, again, radio audience, come see the video of the interview with Brian so you can see the things that he's showing up and the video that we're describing to you, how this all works. But you can visit filtrol.net. It's FILTROL.net. And we'll get you there, of course, when you visit intotomorrow.com. Brian Koski, CEO of Wexco Environmental, thanks for joining us. Keep up the good work, and we'll get you back on again as other new products are available.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Again, it's our pleasure. Filtrol.net and intotomorrow.com. We'll get you there, too. You can see what Brian and his team are up to on a regular basis when you visit us as well. I'm Dave Graveline. Stay tuned. Much more as Into Tomorrow continues right here on the Advanced Media Network.